Welcome to the We Leaders podcast, where leaders share how to leave a legacy that makes history. I'm your host, Alana Fulvio. As a 13-time world record-holding skydiver and Olympic development athlete, psychic intuitive, and former Silicon Valley in-house talent advisor for some of the most legendary leaders and successful companies in history, there is a new bar being set for leadership. They're called We Leaders. What this means for you on this show, We Leaders will show up for you and bring their unapologetic truth, most successful strategies and mindsets so you can level up. We share from our shoes so you can walk in them. Here, the only rules are authenticity, respect, and being in service of every human having the lives they want. Join the movement. Welcome to the We Leaders podcast. Now let's go make history. I'm Alana Fulvio. I'm so excited to have you here. I have my friend Nick Hudalik here. You're not going to want to miss this entire episode. He is not only a Silicon Valley icon, as I think he is. I think he's done, I know, his eyes get really wide, but literally, I'll tell you, he's been one of the inspirations in my career because we kind of worked together before, but not completely close. But I watched what he did when he sold his company to GoPro. GoPro bought out his company, and that's not small change. So if any of you out there want to be bought out by a company like GoPro, you might want to sit here and listen to Nick, because it's not just about the money for Nick. And that's how he's arrived where he's arrived now, where he coaches and partners, because he's not just a coach and a leader, but he's also a partner with these executives, with investors, with people who are really doing big things in the world. So you're going to want to listen to his nuggets of gold. You're going to listen to this entire thing. You're going to be able to take some things immediately out into your world right now and impact not only your profitability financially, most likely, but also personally. So welcome you guys to listening to Nick and myself. And thanks, Nick, for being here, for sharing your time. Because I know you don't have a lot of time. You're really, really busy. He's in high demand. It took a lot, but he's ready to invest and give and be of service. So thank you so much, Nick, for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. You're welcome. So yeah, let's jump in, because I know if I heard that intro and I heard about you when I was working at GoPro, I went, who is this Nick guy? I need to know more. So
I'm excited about him based on what you just said.
So great. I love it. Well, I know I felt the same way when I first heard your name and what you did. I thought, God, I gotta know who this guy is and how they navigated that, because that's no small change, really, because especially being in the Silicon Valley, it's a whole different ballgame as well. So share at the end where you've come to now, but really share that story through the GoPro aspect, but just through all, and how your mindset and how you become the profitability that you are, because you're in high demand, and that takes something special here, especially.
Let's see. Well, so I have kind of a semi-typical Silicon Valley story. You know, I started my first startup in my garage as a teenager. It was in Ohio. It wasn't in California, but and got a full ride to college, dropped out of college, and worked in the startup scene in New York in Silicon Alley in the 90s. And so I've been a startup guy my whole life, to some degree. I moved to the Bay Area in the early 2000s, and then either worked at or started a bunch of companies, most of which failed, which is the standard de rigueur, thing in startups. But one of them succeeded, and that was my consulting and design company, General Things. And it kind of formed a common thread amongst all the rest of all of the other startups, because it was a design and consulting company. And so we were able to, work with lots of other companies who were also startups or things like that. So I got a lot of really great exposure to different industries and different types of people and clients to work with. And I think we started working with GoPro when we were quite small.
How many people were you at that time?
Maybe I think we were about 10 people, and GoPro was around 25.
Okay.
And GoPro internally had a small software team that was focused on some specific vertical markets, specifically desktop video editing, and then some of the on-camera stuff. And we somehow fell into this position of filling all the rest of the gaps at GoPro. And so through that, that relationship blossomed and developed over time. And then at a certain point, it became clear that both companies were heavily dependent on one another. and that we would be much better off together than continuing in some sort of, separate path that we were on.
Yeah. And so you said you had how many people when you engaged with GoPro at General Things?
10,
And you grew to how many when they bought you out?
60. Okay.
So, I mean, that's huge too, because you're integrated into a company and your company is growing as well as the other company is growing. I mean, that's why I say what I say about you, because it's not just, oh, you got bought out by GoPro. Yay. That's a big thing. But you navigated scaling your own company while the other company is scaling as well. And I know that when I left GoPro, I had the offer prior to recruit for you, but I was leaving and I really wanted to work for your company, for General Things, because of the culture. So you had to have been like, your profitability was also based off the people that worked for you. And you went from little to bigger and within another organization, which is, I don't know how you navigate that. Can you share any expertise?
Great question. I mean, the one of the big things that became evident to me, I mean, I guess my whole life, but very, very clearly in the high pressure hiring environment of Silicon Valley, is that we were in competition for talent, like the fiercest competition for tech talent in the world, easily. Yeah. And you've got companies like Google and Netflix and Facebook who will literally pay any amount of money to to an engineer or product manager or something like that. And so I realized early on that you can't compete on price. I mean, that, and had done enough reading and realization around money to realize that above a certain point, right, that once people feel like they have enough to cover all of their bases, that lots of other things besides money become important to them. And so, and that's where the whole focus on culture became really big. It was, how do we create an environment that people love to come to work? I mean, it was really like my primary driver as a founder and as a CEO is, how do I woke up every morning thinking, how do I make this a great place to work? And we came away with a couple of takeaways for that. One of them was really focused on learning and development. Tech in general is such a fast-paced, business, and things are coming out so quickly that in order for engineers in particular to become, to continue being relevant in the marketplace, they have to keep up with new things all the time. And that meant that we were investing in those programs as well. So, because I mean, those aren't cheap; they don't suddenly just happen. Right? Like you have to really like take a focus on it and have a dialogue with the people that you're hiring to find out what's important to them, what do they want to learn, all things like that. And that dialogue also continued in other areas besides learning and development. We were very cognizant of involving leaders throughout the organization, from junior on all the way up to exec level, in decision making, in transparency, all of the things like that.
Well, it's interesting that you say all the things like that, because it's commonplace for you now, right? That like the transparency. One reason why I so respect you too is the authenticity, transparency. You walk the walk, right? You don't just say it outward and go, you do that, I'm going to do this, and expect people to follow you. Because I know that when I was there was rumblings about how great it was to work for General Things, and doesn't just happen by accident. Because what can happen by intentionality, either you create it or you intentionally don't create it. They'll either want to work for you or not want to work for you. And that, and you guys started early, which is, I would say, another reason why, like I said, you're so good to learn from too, because most founders start way too late investing in their people and culture. And you guys started so early that these people stayed with you, and GoPro wouldn't have kept you on board if you guys were disconnected and all that. I mean, it sounds like you empowered the people within your company to be leaders, whether they were, C-level executives, et cetera, but you empowered everyone with not only to be the leaders within their positions, but also you geeked out. I always like to say it, 'cause I geek out on humans, right? Like, what do you like? You're the same way. You like to know what makes them tick. Yeah. How do you find out, like you said, with the learning? what do they like to learn, or what do they like to do? And it's not cheap always, but you invested in them, because then, like you said, they'll come to work and you'll get up wondering how you can support them, and they'll be wondering how to support you.
Bingo.
I
You
mean,
create this beautiful virtual circle of virtual cycle of loyalty. And I'm an engineer and a designer. I guess that's where I started off my career. And at a certain phase, it really shifted to realizing that, like, I no longer am making code or making products. I'm making the teams that make code and make products. And so I realized kind of very quickly, even though I had to maintain my own technical chops and really have a handle on what everyone's doing, and to a certain degree be able to step in and fix any given problem in the entire organization of all of these different clients and all these things. But at the end of the day, the majority of my time really had to be spent on the humans in my organization. And so that meant a lot of things. That meant I spent probably 25 to 30% of my time recruiting.
wow, so you were involved even at that kind of larger stage too.
Oh yeah. It wasn't until I think employee 45 or something that I didn't actually interview them until I think I got like a handshake at the end. But that was a weird moment for me. I remember being like, oh wow, like I wasn't part of this process.
Yeah.
And then realizing that it wasn't going to continue, that kind of was going to keep going on. Also, I instituted very, thorough one-on-one process and review process and leveling process and all of those sorts of things kind of early on. So realizing that along with learning and development, we had a lot of very young and hungry engineers, and they really wanted to know, what's my career look like? What's the ladder from being a junior engineer to being a senior engineer to being a tech lead or a product manager? What does that all look like?
Yeah. Can I ask a question real quick? Because I'm curious, which I think is brilliant. Because your work now is, right, you partner with these C-levels, like these founders, these people who are taking their businesses to the next level, right? And I will say, what you just said, I would love to know if you can't give the whole, like, to really understand how to go through it all, you have to become a client of yours to really get coached for you to receive the full impact. But you said something, and I think it's really critical, having those one-on-ones, right? The one-on-ones and how to have the interaction, because it can be uncomfortable. It can be one-sided. I know I've had those. How do you bring that human side in along with the business side in? If you just give a couple of nuggets of, like, if they can put in their pocket right now and go have a one-on-one with their person, their employee, what's one thing that they could bring to that conversation without, having all your nuggets, but just maybe one thing that they can take to that conversation?
I mean, a really simple thing that I did at the outset was just having a structure for that alone that was used through the organization. And so for me, it was the one that I found a long time ago, and I'm in no way saying it's the best one in the universe, but the one that worked really well for me was in a given half-hour one-on-one session, you had 10 minutes for the manager, 10 minutes for the employee, and then 10 minutes of kind of like what comes next, what to work on, all of those sorts of things. And so that's the structure aspect of it. But the other thing is also just getting really good at feedback. And by that, I mean both at giving feedback and at receiving it. And so some of that is, there's the doing aspect. There's the, what do you literally say in the conversation? And then there's the, how do you show up? Like, you're going to, are you going to show up as this like dominating, like loud, blustering force? Or are you going to show up in a much more connected and caring and listening focused way?
Yeah.
And I guess that the third piece is listening. I mean, and really listening and not anticipating what you're going to say, as the person is still getting their own words out.
It's like a human, by the way, anyone out there do that? Because I have to
I do that too.
It's a human trait, right? To, like we say, always be thinking, but to be a true leader. And then you get from like leader to, I call it the profitable leader, because it's like you start to become profitable when the other people around you start to profit. And it's not just by money, it's by their lives. And when you, like you said, learn how to, which is a trait, I'm telling you, it's really a trait to be able to listen, not think first, and understand what they're saying, even underneath what they're saying, and not bring assumption, which you're really good at.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, also, and a little sort of corollary to that is like, be comfortable with silence.
Yeah.
You know, because for part of, if you're really going to listen, that means if you're not going to like blurt out what you're saying right away, that means you're going to have to take a second and kind of process what the person said, and really kind of check in with yourself, and and then ask follow-up questions and all those sorts of things.
Yeah. And you had, from what I heard, by the way, confirm this, you had a high retention rate.
I fired 2 people, but otherwise never lost anyone.
I mean, I will say, from all my almost 20 years, right, doing this of recruitment, it's very few companies that I can say that even if they've grown to 60 or so, that's only had to let go of 2 or fired or let go, whatever, and had a high retention rate like that, right? And people were coming in every day, like, and really honestly, I don't say this to anyone watching or to Nick just to say it, because I know what retention takes. And as I call it front loading it, where you cared about the human first, like you're saying, creating some structures and strategies, learning how to grow for yourself as a human, because, we all bring that kind of craziness to it. Really, I think set you up for a lot of success where, like I said, when I was exiting GoPro, I reconsidered. Literally, people said, do you want to go work for general things? Do you want to go recruit for Nick and his partner? And I really was so torn. I said, I want to be a part of that culture, which is why you're here on this interview. Because I went, man, I want to be a part of that culture, but I had to go to the next thing. But it's a huge testament. And I think that any leader that wants that, quote, profitability, whether it be financial or they want to leave a legacy or whatever their profitability means, is investing in their people, investing in themselves. Like you said, invest in yourself as a leader. What do you know? Bring your blind spots forward, and then investing in your people, which again, I wasn't even an employee of yours and I wanted to work for you.
Wow. I love that that's the reputation that precedes me, though, is that like, it was so great to work together. Like that's, I mean, what a lovely sentiment.
Yeah, it was. And it was rumor around GoPro, not bad rumor, but like everyone knew it. And that's, I will say that I never came to your office, not once. And I was always at the GoPro headquarters, and word got out. And that's one thing that you can probably attest to in Silicon Valley and the world. Your reputation will get out real quick about what you are. So, and I think you're really good at understanding and not being fake about it. Like, you can't just do leadership. You got to really be a leader, which I think is great. Yeah. So any nuggets you have? Just, and again, like I said, I just admire what you've done and how you've had to navigate, I think is sometimes crazy. I'm like, how did you do that while GoPro was scaling and it just became this massive thing? And if people wanted to be around you and follow you guys and produced good, really great stuff. So you took that general things, and then you've increased your career or taken it different places, and just talk about that.
I mean, one of the interesting things so I had a coach, an executive startup coach, about halfway through the founding of my company, and that was a transformative experience for me. I didn't really know what coaches did. Finally hired one, and I really credit that also with really helping me be a better leader. It was a constant conversation, particularly when you're a CEO. It's kind of lonely at the top, and you don't have the opportunity to have those types of conversations with, like you would with a manager as a CEO, because there's nobody else to have that conversation with. So I hired a coach, and I worked with him for now 10 years. And at a certain point,
amazing.
And at a certain point, a couple of years ago, he was like, Nick, one of the things you may not realize about yourself is that you've actually kind of been a coach your whole life. The whole time we've been working together, the way you approach conversations with people is really in the same manner that I approach conversations with you.
Yeah.
So why do you think about maybe like turning that into a thing? And I thought about it for a while, and I did it. And and that's so coaching has become my life since then. And and having powerful conversations with people, startup founders, execs who are in similar situations of rapid change and growth has been like the thing that I've dedicated my life to at this point.
Yeah, which I think is brilliant because, well, one, it's called Polymath, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the company that you guys have founded is called Polymath, and I think it's brilliant because that's one reason why I wanted you here as well, was because I'm a firm believer in people don't have to repeat history. Like Einstein says, why go insane when you don't have to? And if others have been through it and we have the tire marks to show for it and we have we've fallen down enough, we can help you succeed faster. And to your point, I have numerous business coaches because there's no way one human can know it all. And why not learn from people who have been there, done that? And granted, not everyone's done everything, but your coach is still with you. He saw in you the ability to help others, and you've committed your life to taking what you've learned to help others succeed faster. I mean, which is brilliant because you're authentically that. You're not just doing it for the money. It's great because you are high bill, but it's about people who want to invest in themselves to then accelerate faster. To me, it's a no-brainer. I've hired my own coaches. I have numerous still to this day that I have no problem investing in because my acceleration goes from here to here. And I have no desire to stay like this my entire life. That's not my goal. So,
yeah. I mean, I love the job because it really helps create, to your point, organizational change and the ability to have a multiplicative effect, not just on one person, but then for that person to then have a similar positive effect to the organizations and that they manage is incredibly gratifying.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing. That's why I wanted you to share that story too, because there's one thing to have, let's say, a leadership coach, and it's just about you as a leader, but you've been through what it means to cause yourself as a leader, cause others as a leader, to ensure that the entire group moves as a whole forward so that everyone succeeds. Because there are some people out there that are just about me and I want to be a leader, and if you ever want to grow a business, you're +1 at least. You have to learn how to cause others. So your experience is so invaluable, as a coach and as a partner for people, because you've been there and done it successfully. And like I said, you failed other times. So you have that balance of, I don't know anyone that could, I don't know, you let me know if you've met anyone that says my life's a straight line. I don't know anybody.
No, not at all. So yeah, I mean, at Polymath, we do three things. We do the coaching, we do consulting, and we do capital. The capital side of the business is pretty small. We just do small angel investments for startups that we work with. The consulting side of people are kind of confused sometimes around coaching and consulting. Consulting is like, I've done this thing before. This is how you do it. And you're just going to rather than you try to fumble through and figure that out, here's a good lawyer. This is the way you set up a good HR system, so on and so forth. Coaching is really more about people. It's really about who do you need to be as a leader? What qualities do you need to assume? What are the roadblocks that are holding you back from really stepping into whatever it is that's got you stuck or into what you want to grow into?
I mean, I think that's huge. I consider you to be a partner, right? And even with this interview, I consider you a partner, right? In doing this, and as a partner in it for them to get their lives. But it's not like, here, throw it over the fence, here, good luck.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. It's coaching and consulting the coaching is the partner who brings forward those blind spots and is there for you, regardless if you have an up day, down day, all around day. Because it's never a straight line. So you're there through their ups and downs to ensure that they're empowered, there's no band-aids. It's not like, here's a quick fix. That's
exactly
what a coach does. So
right. That's what a consultant does. And there's definitely room and need for both of those things in the universe. It's just that they're two distinct, things, practices that we have in our business for that exact reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it takes really that, and again, because part of the reason why I created this Profitable Leader was to have people like you share, and people that are watching really are, I think, and I acknowledge people that are watching, really investing in yourselves in time wise, because time is so precious. I know, sometimes I go, wow, that whole day went by, but your time is precious. And to be able to say, what is going to accelerate me forward, and what do I need to invest in now to make sure that the future moves forward quicker, but strong, right? Because you can move forward fast. But if you didn't invest in your people at general things and you didn't care about who they were, I can pretty much guarantee you wouldn't have received the output of the acquisition of all of that. There's no way,
No, agreed.
No one would have followed you.
I mean, no, we were a knowledge business. The people were the absolute core of our business. They were they were actually kind of literally the only thing that mattered. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And you probably, tell me if you agree. I think you probably do that. Even if it's regardless of what kind of business it is, right? It's people and what leadership does and how they empower the people, because take away the people and the product is only the product.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah,
so.
exactly. I mean, like that, I guess that's the key takeaway for me. I mean, some people are like, it is the product. Some people it's the execution. Some people it's the strategy. Like, and for me, it's all about the people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one reason, again, like I said, I admire you so much because it's true. I'm a people first believer as well. There's whatever product you have is not going anywhere without the people that help fuel it. I mean,
yeah.
And I'm a process strategy girl, but I know that the people come before that. So no, it's invaluable. Anything else that you want to share? If there's anything else that you want to share that if people are watching, what else? Anything else that they can take away? Because it's so great what you have to offer.
I mean, I guess this is reiterating that last point. It's like as a leader, your real leverage comes from your ability to lift the people up that are around you and to repeat that process through the organization ad infinitum.
Yeah.
And so if you're really looking to move mountains, like you need leverage, and that's where the leverage comes from the people.
Yeah. And you said one key word, which I had to latch onto, is repeatability.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, I've seen many people try to create repeatability, but they can't, and they'll do it with one person, but not the other three. And like what you guys do at Polymath is really ensure that they have everything they need, plus recreate repeatability so that they can have their lives back too. So you don't spend so much time, because I know as a founder, you have 5 million plus 2 things to do, and how do you have your life plus give other people their lives, right? So
yeah. Actually, that's another good point. While you're saying that, is like, I mean, one of the things I struggled with as a founder for a long time was, how much time to give to things, personal care and things that are really important to health, sleep, fitness, eating right. And so that's another thing that, like, that I as I progressed in my career, I really learned some key strategies and ways of balancing all of those things. And it's also something that we work into. That's really more of the coaching practice at Polymath.
Yeah, it's interesting that I brought that up, because I even forgot about that part. You
Yeah,
forgot.
I know, right? Yeah, the whole person. That part.
Oh yeah, the whole quality of life thing. And actually, yeah, to reiterate that too, that's one thing that I always looked at, and I went, well, how do they stay like fit and healthy, mindfully, but physically, and run a business like they do? And you really have, and you're iterating, and life is different. But I think that you have really found a lot of that sweet spot in terms of what it means to balance that out, and you keep your health. Really, you're focused on that health, which is brain health, which is physical health, and all that, and couple that with how do you create business strength as well, which we totally forgot about that piece. But
I know. It does figure into the repeatability thing though too, like it, I mean, if you don't have those kind of basic parts of your own health, then you are not going to be a high performing person in all aspects of your life if you don't high performing in terms of your health and your fitness and your nutrition and your sleep and all of those sorts of things. And also encouraging that in your organization has lots and lots of repercussions, right? Like not overworking people, not having crazy hours, making sure that they can work from home. I mean, quality of life things around leave and, family care and healthcare. And I mean, you name all of those things, really designing your business around, the whole person and that you employ.
Yeah. And that's a big thing too, and I think about it now is in terms of how do you create a business that's, financially stable, but also mentally and physically stable for yourself and for everybody. So that's, I mean, again, we won't go into detail in this interview on it because we can't, because there's so much, so much that goes into that. And that's why he's a leader in what he does and the coaching aspect but that's a big thing that you said is how do you not only do it for yourself, but repeatability within every one of the people, whether they're a contractor, consultant, full-time, and they work for you for 1 hour, they will impact your business. They can make or break you. And Nick knows that, so I think that's a great point is with what you offer too, is how to create a healthy organization for yourself and for everybody with all those moving pieces, because there are so many moving pieces to gaining that profitability, to whatever your success means like to you. And I'm a big proponent of culture, and it's creating that solid foundation of culture, which you guys really created General Things, and now doing that within, your coaching clients and in the world. And coming from, I'm from the Silicon Valley. You're a Silicon Valley guy. I'm also New York, but Silicon Valley guy. And it's no joke to work here. So really, you've made it. You've thrived. You're still thriving. And if you can make it here, I think you can make it anywhere in general. So it really is, it's a benefit. I'm grateful that you did what you did and you went for it with general things.
Thanks.
And it was, like I said, I just acknowledge that was not earlier in my career, but I was midway career, and who I am. This might sound big, your eyes might get big again, but acknowledging when I knew I wanted to work for you guys, but I was exiting, I actually put that in my box of said, what kind of companies do I want to create out there, and what kind of companies do I want to work for out there? And you're very selective about who you choose to work with, which is, growth mindset and people who are willing to invest in themselves, which is why your people don't succeed like this. They succeed like this.
Well, thank you for asking me to do it. This is all like important work, and it's important to get it out there and talk about it. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Awesome. Well, thanks. So anyone that's watching, thank you so much for, like Nick and I believe, is really investing in yourself, taking this time, because you could be doing so many other things. And I know I go as a founder, and I go as a coach, and I sometimes don't take the time to just invest in myself and sit here and listen and really just take it in and rewind it and watch it again and just write down some things. Just, as I say in skydiving, just do one thing per day. Don't have to boil the ocean. Just do one thing, and then make sure to write him and apply for that, and share this out to the world. One thing that the Profitable Leader guests are so committed to is that this reaches out to as far as we can get within the world. And even if it reaches that person who in a country that doesn't offer them opportunity, they see it on the computer and they get hope, or they get inspired. Like, we're all in this together. And that's why Nick is here. And that's why the others are here, to really ensure that within business and profitability, we bring humans first, because that's really just how we succeed and how we succeed faster. So again, thanks, Nick. And thank you everyone for being here. Watch the other guests. No one completely overlaps, except we overlap in terms of our commitment to you, our commitment to the world, human centricity, and everyone has succeeded, and they've all put humans first. So imagine that, it's really amazing. So again, thanks. And we'll see you guys soon.